Godzilla Minus One.
Yes.
Very anticipated by both of us. We have been dying, and I think it was just last week. I'm like, when are they going to put this shit on streaming?
We can't. Well, because like there was at one point there was a plan. We came up with a plan, which is always a great thing to do.
Yeah, that's always a good thing.
Which was, I still think it was a great plan. Which was that we were going to review this instead of Kong versus Godzilla 2.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, that's great. Unfortunately, it's not available to watch anywhere. Yeah. So I guess Netflix kept the door closed until Friday.
I mean, it's kind of a big deal for Netflix to get this before any of the pay-per-view or any of the streaming.
It dropped on Netflix at the same time as it became available on streaming services to buy.
Which is crazy.
That's insane. That's crazy pants. It's huge.
I can't imagine how much they had to pay to get that.
No, this is what I'm saying, is I think that Netflix paid an arm and a leg to keep that door closed.
Can you imagine the viewership that they got off of this shit?
Oh, I'm sure.
I mean, I was almost started crying. I was so happy.
Yeah.
Because I've been waiting to see this fucking movie.
Oh, we all have. Like, I remember watching people's reaction in theaters, because this was the movie that came out, and a lot of creators that I follow had reactions like, nah, fuck Oppenheimer. This is the anti-war movie of the century. And then it just wasn't available to watch anywhere.
Yeah.
For the longest time.
And I'm going to say this, and this is not overstated because I've really thought about this movie. I watched it Saturday night, so I've had 2 days to really think about it. This is an A+ to me. There's only one part that I didn't like, and we'll talk about that.
We'll get there. Because it's literally the very end of the movie. Yes.
And I think this is the greatest monster movie ever made.
I can definitely see that.
Because not only is it a great monster movie, but unlike other monster movies, and I'm including like Pacific Rim in this, the human story is so fucking good.
It's incredible. I've never seen a human story like this.
Never even close.
This is one of those movies like RRR, where we don't watch it the year that it came out, and then we spend the next year talking about how incredible that movie was. Because I can totally see us doing that with this movie.
Oh, absolutely.
Of just like even if you're, you know, as far away from it as it could be, where this is a movie about people in Japan post World War II, and we're the people that put them in that position.
Because the movie literally starts like the last day of World War II.
Yeah.
Like, it's the last
It's the end of the war.
Yeah.
It's the end of the war. And just, there were so many incredible, powerful moments. The fact that this movie isn't just about anti-war and all these other things. The fact that this movie is maybe the greatest portrayal of PTSD I've seen in a movie, maybe ever.
Yeah.
Like, where he is just... Koichi. So Koichi has several breakdowns during the movie where he is just fully... He can't tell what's real and what's not real anymore. And he keeps on thinking, like, maybe I am dead. Maybe I am dead, and this is just some weird dream that I'm having, and I am dead, and that none of this is real, and that I finally died, and I don't have to deal with any of that. And then he's just brought right back to reality. But, like... It is so heartbreaking to watch his story unfold.
Oh my God.
Where you're just like, Jesus Christ.
And it's like, it's not just anti-war, it's anti the whole Japanese honor thing.
Yeah.
Because he's a kamikaze pilot that doesn't want to die.
Yeah.
So he pretty much chickens out of it in the beginning, and that we get our first Godzilla appearance. But it's like him kind of at first dealing with the shame.
Yeah.
Because who is it? His aunt? I can't remember who the woman is.
It's his neighbor,
It's his neighbor, but she kind of is like an aunt figure.
Yeah, she's like this neighbor that they were friendly with. They clearly knew each other. And everybody knew that he was a kamikaze pilot.
Yeah. And so when he shows back up, she's like, you dishonored everybody.
She's so angry. She's so mad at him.
But he's like, and it's like, it's so stupid.
And he has that whole thing where he, at the beginning of the movie, it begins with him landing on this little podunk island and meeting Tachibana, who's going to be a bigger player later on.
Yeah. Really good Tachibana.
And, you know, the mechanics are going through his plane. He's like, I have mechanical problems. Mechanics are going through the plane. They're like, everything's fine. And Tachibana's like, so, you want to talk about it? Because nothing's wrong with the plane, so I just gotta ask. And I think he says something along the lines of, "There's no point in going out and having people die anymore. The war is over.
Yeah.
Like, so he's not shaming Koichi for doing this. He's like understanding, except that then Godzilla attacks and shit goes down for real.
That's where the shame part comes in, because he has an opportunity to shoot at Godzilla with the guns on the plane, which are much stronger than the guns they have, and he kind of chickens out again.
Yeah,
but part of it though, it's kind of the same as the kamikaze, where he's like, I don't think it's gonna hurt him.
Yeah,
because we're shooting him and nothing is affecting him.
Nothing's gonna happen. Yeah, look, have you seen how big he is?
Yeah.
And
so it's kind of the same.
Yeah.
But man, I gotta say, and this isn't a shot at the movie, I think this movie will be a lot better once, kind of same as RRR, once I see it in
multiple
its
times.
Original version with subtitles.
See, that's how we watched it.
I watched the dubbing version. I watched the dub version, and the American dubbing, not great.
Yeah.
But it's like I've watched enough bad dubbed movies where I still enjoyed them that I could see past that and just see what the movie is in general.
Yeah.
I need to watch. And after watching it, I'm like, okay, but at least I can tell people, watch the narrator. Don't watch the dub version.
No, it's an incredibly powerful story.
Yeah.
And the acting by everybody is so good. And so you just have this unfolding story. I did have a few moments of confusion at the beginning because he's on this island and there's no way off the island, and then cut to him getting off the island and he's sailing and somebody hands him a stack of photos. It turns out it's Tachibana. I all that kind of moved past me. I had a hard time recognizing all the faces. And so he gets home and he, turns out Tokyo was firebombed. And there's no home anymore.
Yeah.
And
everything's
just
destroyed.
Watching the people of Tokyo moving around trying to rebuild their lives is so just gut-wrenching.
And I mean, even over the period that this movie takes, they don't really clean up a lot around because there's so much destruction that they're kind of building around the destruction.
They're kind of building in the destruction.
Yeah, building in the destruction, which is...
And it's just insane watching how these people are trying to rebuild their lives.
Yes.
And just, again, as an American, just being like, God, I hate war. I fucking hate war.
I know, it's fucking bad. I do have to say, I am still very impressed for what they put on the screen for, I think it was $14 million, that it was the budget of this film. It was under $20 million, I know that. There were a couple points, but it's same as RRR, where it's like, okay, I know the animals are all CGI. And so even the ones that are like, okay, it's kind of a little bit of a rough CGI with that one. Like in the beginning when the plane's landing, it's noticeable that it's on a green screen. But it was one of those things where I'm like, okay, but I know that this movie didn't have a huge budget, and so I can look past that.
See, so, I had that moment with the plane at the end of the movie when he's soaring around and he looks out at the countryside. I was like, oh, this is definitely green screen.
Yeah.
But one thing that I do want to point out that I think is incredible about this movie is that it was written and directed and the special effects were headed by one guy. And so this is all his baby.
Takashi Yamazaki?
Yes. And so he does an incredible job. The CGI in this movie,
Godzilla's unbelievable.
We were talking about Shin Godzilla before. Some of the CGI in Shin Godzilla is a little touch and go. There were a few moments where it was like miniatures probably would have been better. This probably would have looked better if you just did miniatures. I don't know what your production was on this. I don't know why you decided to do it this way, but these helicopters do not look Compton well. Whereas here in Minus One, the CGI is so incredible. When we get to the minesweeper boats and that the battle on the boats, oh my God.
When it attacked that first boat.
Oh my God. Just like, and the way that the story unfolds as they're figuring out what's going on and what's happening. And then, Koichi gets this new job and it pays really, really well. Oh, we should also mention that Koichi has a girlfriend that's not a girlfriend and a baby that's not a baby.
Sumiko is the girlfriend-ish wifey.
Yes. And then they have a baby, Akiko.
Yes.
But the baby is not either of theirs. This is just post-war trauma.
Yeah, Sumiko found the baby as the baby's mother was dying.
Yeah.
And said, watch this baby. And Sumiko said, well, I kind of feel like I need to.
And then I do love the moment where they meet, where she just pushes the baby into his arms.
Yes. Because she's getting chased by
someone.
Somebody, yeah.
And he's like, I don't know what to do with this baby, and he thinks about leaving it, and then he decides to carry it around, and then he runs into her, and she's like, where were you?
I've been waiting.
I was gonna come and get the baby.
Yeah, no, that was great, and I do love that because like that was such a well done love story because you could tell that throughout these, I'm guessing it was like maybe a couple years by just the growth of the child.
I think it takes place over the course of 2 years.
Yeah. They built this, it was pretty much a marriage without physical love.
Yeah.
And it was so beautiful. And I love how she's like when she gets her job and she goes, I'm so proud because I've always wanted to be independent, but I appreciate what you do for me and I'm just going to be able to help us more.
And he's like, don't I bring home enough money?
Yes.
Why do you have to have a job?
Yes. And it was like a great...
And she's like, because I want one. I want to be independent. I don't want to be, subjugated to your money. I want to be able to have my own life.
Which for the time, the 40s and the 50s,
it's
huge. Like, this is perfect.
Yeah.
This is like what was going on around the world at that time.
So just like, I love that dynamic of their whole house. And then when we meet Koichi's coworkers and they start coming home for dinner, that is just so beautiful in the kind of quaint pleasantness of just these like 6 people just kind of hanging out and having dinner.
The coworkers are awesome. I know one of them, Noda, is the scientist guy. Mm-hmm. The other 2,
they just referred to them as Captain and the Kid.
Yeah, which I think the captain is Saiji. Mm-hmm. The kid, I couldn't tell you the kid's name.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But yeah, they are great because they're comic relief, but they're not goofy. They have they're lighter, like their moments are lighter.
Yeah.
And especially with the kid, it's a little silly, but they're not like over the top bumbling idiots. And I love that about it because it's like, okay, so you can have comic relief without it being just dumb.
I should make a correction. Noriko is the girlfriend. Sumiko is the neighbor.
Oh, that's right. Sumiko is the neighbor.
Sumiko is the neighbor. Noriko.
I'm trying to read.
I know.
On IMDb, it has the voice actors and.
I know. It's making me crazy. I'm going down the list, and I have to keep doubling back and being like, who is what?
Okay, so the first Godzilla fight.
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome.
It's incredible. The one on the island.
The one on the island.
Yeah.
Which is literally, and I think that was smart of them because there is a long patch where they build the story of the relationships, and they're like, all right, so right off the bat, you're going to get some basic character introduction, and then you're going to get fucking Godzilla.
They learned from the 2015 Godzilla.
Yeah,
they were like, we're not going to Bryan Cranston you through the beginning of this movie, only to have it turn out to be an Aaron Taylor Johnson movie.
Oh my god, it's so fucking awesome. When they're like, get a light on that, and you fucking see him. Yeah. You're like, oh!
You see him, and then he immediately kills somebody, and you're like, oh shit.
Dude.
And just like, the ones that got me were the Chomp and Hurl.
Yeah, he doesn't eat him.
He doesn't hurt, he just, bam, whee!
Yeah.
And then the tail just slamming down on a group of men. And you're just like, oh my god.
It was fucking awesome.
And that's before he mutates. That's just Godzilla in his regular form.
Yeah, because he mutates after the attack.
There's some kind of Bikini Atoll issue where...
It was the first American nuke, which I think every Godzilla movie says that's the start of Godzilla.
Yeah. And so, but then he starts turning into the big
he turns
monster.
into Deadpool.
He does.
It's Deadpool Godzilla.
He has an incredible healing factor, which I love.
Going into the final end credit scene, he pretty much regenerates from a mound of flesh.
Yeah, and which he's going to.
Oh yeah.
It just takes enough. Yeah. You just have to have enough cells to have. In different worlds it works different ways. Sometimes it depends on where the cells come from. Mm-hmm. Some worlds it has to be like a brain cell or a specific cell that can grow, and that's where the mutation actually generates from. In other words, you have a drop of blood, you can regrow a Wolverine or a Deadpool.
Yeah.
So I really love the way that they did the regen in this too.
Especially like that scene where later in the movie he gets the mine in his mouth and it blows that hole in his jaw and then it just slowly grows back.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh,
well, and you have that great moment where everybody's like, we did it. I think we did it. I think it's okay. And
no, you just made him mad.
No.
He's kind of like the Hulk. Okay, you hurt him, but by hurting him, you made him really mad.
I love that sequence where
so good.
I love them on the mining boat. I love that whole lead up.
That first sequence in the water, it was very Jaws.
I was going to say, it is so Jaws. It is right out of Jaws.
It's like thinking about the second Godzilla, what was it, Godzilla Kong, the very first Godzilla Kong movie, when they had that battle in the water, and I didn't like it because I thought it was stupid. This is it done right.
Yeah.
Because it's like...
Well, because you don't have King Kong on
Exactly.
The battleship.
But like the Godzilla part, it's like I love how they show him under the water. It's fucking awesome. And then him coming up and like you just see his head and his spines mostly.
Well, that shot where he swims under a boat. That is just such an incredible shot. Awesome. It's so good. But I also just love the plot of this. It's not just a fight scene like the Meg, like you're watching the Meg and it's just, oh, big shark. And then second big shark, which I will never get over that. That's so stupid to me. Oh, yeah. You killed the first big shark, but there were two. But anyway, I love that they have this whole moment where they're like, okay, we have new orders from the government. We're going to go do this one job. Okay, we're going to go do it. And then they find this destroyed battleship. And they're like, and
then the fish start bubbling
up. And Koichi's like, we are out of time.
Yes.
It is time. It is here. It's happening now. And just like, I love that Captain has that moment of like, no, we're going to do it because not only was a job given to us, and fuck the government for giving it to us. I agree with you all. Fuck the government for putting us in this situation. But somebody's got to do it, so it's going to be us. And then he's like, okay, maybe not.
I think the battleship can take care of this.
But like they do accomplish the mission. Yeah. They do get to delay Godzilla until the battleship shows up. And it's just such a well done scene that leaves you really just being like, oh my God, this is incredible.
And I'm trying to remember, that's the first time we see the fire breath. Isn't it in that scene?
Yes, because that's when he shoots it through the boat and blows up the boat.
And I love the fact that his fire breath in this movie is a nuclear explosion.
Yeah.
That is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It looked so cool.
Yeah.
Because like you watch this new one, it's like a laser blast.
Yeah.
And the American ones. But this, it's like, no, this dude's fucking nuclear. So his fire breath is literally a nuclear explosion.
Well, and I love that it takes time to build up.
He has to regenerate it.
And just it affects the way the spikes pop out. And just like you see it trailing up as it gets closer to his mouth. And you're like, oh, this is going to be bad. But I love the first time we see it that it has like the opposite of like an alien abduction effect. Where it comes out from under the water.
Yes!
And the boat is just gone.
Yeah, it's like, oh, did we get it? Boom! Oh, shit.
Oh, I don't think we got it.
Oh, my God. So fucking good.
No, I love this movie. I love the second act of this movie has so much heart because this is where we start getting into the PSD stuff.
Big time.
And we also have the whole thing with Noriko happen.
Yeah.
Where Noriko has gotten a job and she's working in Ginza and she is doing her own thing. And then Godzilla attacks Ginza. That sequence is crazy.
And this led to what ends up being my least favorite part. Yeah. Which, spoilers right here, everyone. This is a spoiler. I'm throwing out a spoiler right here. This heart-wrenching scene where he shows up to save her.
Well, first you have this sequence where it's just about her trying to get out of Godzilla's path.
Yes.
So she's on the train, and then Godzilla comes over and takes the whole train.
And she's hanging.
She's just trying not to fall out of this train. She gets over water. I'm like, go now. You gotta go now. But she lands in the water. Train's coming down. You gotta get out of the water, man. What are you doing in the water?
It was so good.
Just the moment when she's running with the crowd and she just stops and just looks at Godzilla
like
coming.
Shell-shocked.
And she's just like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I can't get out of here. There's no getting away from this. And Koichi comes and takes her hand and runs her. And they're standing next to an alleyway. And me and Kelly are just like, go down the alley.
And then Godzilla fires his nuclear breath, setting off a nuclear explosion. And she pushes him in the alleyway and sacrifices herself to save him.
She gets Galadriel'd.
And that was my only negative of this movie because, once again, spoiler.
She does literally get Galadriel.
She literally gets Galadriel because she ends up being alive and in a really good shape.
Relatively fine.
And it's like, that's the only negative because a lot of the heart of that second and third act that you were talking about stems from her sacrifice.
It's Koichi's at his lowest.
Yes, because he's really a single father.
He's fully broken at this point. the woman that was helping him with his PTSD, who was kind of this anchor point for him, is gone. This monster keeps on attacking.
Oh, and then when the baby says, "Oh, can I see mommy now?"
Where's mommy?
Oh my god!
And he's, he had an opportunity in his mind to stop Godzilla, and he didn't take it. And there's just more lives that are cost because of this. And he is just broken. And then you have Captain being like, "Why didn't you marry her?" And him being like, "Because I'm still at war.
Yeah,
I can't marry her if I'm still at war."
And after the funeral, when he's and they're all like trying to console the baby, and he goes off on his own, he kneels and sees all the pictures,
and he's like, "I can't be happy."
Of the dead sailors from the beginning, and he's like,
"You're punishing me because I wanted to be alive. Oh my God. I finally wanted to live. I finally wanted to have a life, and now you're just punishing me for having that feeling." And it's just so gut wrenching. Yeah. This is a movie. I took a class at Purchase that was a cinema of trauma. What was it? It was something in trauma, but it basically was just films about traumatic events. And so we watched Hiroshima Mon Amour, and we watched Night and Fog, and we watched so many. Oh, it was heavy duty.
Sounds like a very happy class.
It was heavy duty, Doc. Quick aside, my favorite thing about this class was it reminds me of that John Mulaney joke about getting a passing grade because you said that Emily Dickinson is probably gay. It's like, oh yeah, B+. Basically, you could say at any point, because we had to write weekly essays for this based on whatever movie we had watched that week. So you could basically just go in and say, yeah, trauma is really bad, and the way that's captured on film is really different depending on who the person capturing it is. B+.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is a movie that I could see being taught in trauma class because
oh my God,
this is all about the trauma of so many things. It's not just about post-war Japan. That's the overview of the whole thing. That's the cloud that lurks over the whole of the movie. This is about the trauma of the people involved, the trauma of the citizenry of Japan, being just a Japanese citizen at this time, the trauma of the culture, the trauma of losing people, of blaming yourself for deaths that aren't your fault, and being unable to stop a situation that just keeps on getting worse and worse and worse. And it's just this incredible, I don't want to call it a pile, but it's an incredible pile of really great things that as you're digging through, you're just like, oh my God, look at all this shit. And then on top of it, the filmmaking is incredible.
Oh, it's so amazing.
And Godzilla's here.
I know, seriously. And that's the great thing about this movie is it's, unlike other monster movies, this is a great dramatic movie with Godzilla in it.
Yeah.
It's not the other way around.
Well, and it's so of itself. It knows so much about what it wants to be. The moment they have a newscaster and a full news team
on top of the
building recording Godzilla attacking, and I'm just thinking back to the Americanized version of the original Godzilla where they put in, I think it's Raymond Burr.
Yeah.
They stick him in as an American reporter who's just watching Godzilla attack to kind of give flavor to the American audience that they can kind of latch onto. It's almost referential here of just like you have a whole news crew trying to the moment where he walks past and is like, oh, Godzilla's coming right for us. I'm like, maybe get off the roof.
It was so good. It was so good. And so going into the third act, they come up with a plan to stop Godzilla, and part of the plan that they figure they might need is a distraction, which is Koshi flying around Godzilla to distract him and to lure him into this trap. But they only had one plane left, and it needed a mechanic, so he refused any mechanic other than Tachibana.
Well, they kept on saying that they couldn't find another mechanic.
Yes, and he's like, I know of one,
I know
and
a guy
it's gotta
who can
be
do
this
it.
guy.
Well, and it seemed like, because this is an experimental plane.
Yeah.
This isn't, I guess what they say is that it was
going to be the end of the war.
There were like a dozen of them made. All of them were going to just be land-based in case the U.S. came and did a ground assault. So they kept a bunch of them on land, but they didn't upkeep them once the war ended, and this is like 2 years after the war. So there's really only one of them that still works, and it really needs a lot of work. And I know a guy. I know a guy who knows how to fix this kind of shit.
And the way he lures Tachibana
it's so good.
It's so fucked up. Like, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of fucked up, because he's sending these letters out, and you're like, oh, I wonder if he's just like, listen, we need you. No, he's not saying that.
Yeah. No, it's incredible when he goes to the post office and he's just begging the guy.
Yeah.
Like, just tell me anywhere that you know this guy lived. I just need anything to start.
Or like where his unit was from or something.
Anything. Give me anything. Yeah. And so he just starts sending out these letters, and Tachibana shows up. And I love that moment. It's so, you've seen this in so many animes where the guy's like, "Hey, you're here." Punch. Because in the letter, what the tactic that he took was, I gotta piss this guy off so much that he'll come find me.
Yeah.
So I don't have to go find him. I'm just gonna piss him off so bad that he finds me. Hey, your fault.
Yes.
It's your fault.
Everything on the island was your fault. And it's like, just that whole scene, it's like, holy fuck. Like, you realize, when I first realized that's what he wrote, I was like, God,
Jesus, God.
Like, no shit this guy found you. Because he blamed you so bad that he was, like, going to kill you on that boat in the beginning. Like, that look he gave him was a death stare. And then he's going to say, you're the one that caused it. Like, fucking A. But then he finally, he talks him into it, and Tachibana shows up, and him and his crew, cleans himself up.
I love that whole sequence, because it becomes this thing where Koichi is like, listen, he almost has a Zuko from Avatar arc.
Yes.
This is how I reclaim my honor. I'm turning this into a suicide mission, man. There's a plan. We have a whole plan. I'm going to do the plan. Mark my words, if I get the opportunity, I'm going in. Yeah. You put as many high caliber bombs in this plane as you can fit. Take out any machine guns you have to. I'll just have the baseline minimum of machine guns, and then you put in some heavy duty bombs, and I'm gonna fly it into Godzilla and blow him up. And I love Tachibana's reaction to the whole thing, and the way that the filmmaking is built. I'm going to spoil this a little bit, but the filmmaking is built in this way where they're working on the plane, they're going back and forth, and then on the last day, Tachibana is going through and he's like, okay, so you have this many shells, you have this many bombs, you have this, and this is how fast you're going to be able to go. This is here, you have to pull this when you want the bombs to go off, because otherwise there's going to be a safety on them, so make sure you pull this right as you're going into the creature's mouth. And then he's like, oh, and let me show you this other thing. Cut two. and so you're sitting there like, what's going to happen? And Tachibana made him install an ejector seat so he could be like, listen, this is not about you dying, man. Yes. This is about you living. The whole point of this is that people are dying.
Which goes
more
back
death isn't going to help.
Where he didn't want him to die. He wanted him to attack Godzilla with the weapon they had. And he, like you said, he was on his side about the anti-kamikaze, and here it's just reaffirming that, him saying, listen, you're gonna do what you didn't do in the beginning, so you don't have to fucking die to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So great.
It was so good.
It was so good.
Just that speech he gives him, where he's like, listen, this has never been about you wanting to die or you dying to honor those who died because of your actions. This is about you living because they died. Yeah. And you have to remember why you're still alive.
Yes.
But you better fucking live. And I just love everything about that. And then you have this incredible military sequence with this faux navy made up of civilians.
Yeah, the tugboats.
And they reference the original Godzilla. It's not an oxygen bomb, but it's very similar in its structure.
But I love how they just kind of like Shin Godzilla, they misjudge when Godzilla is going to potentially come on land. And then he comes on land, and they're like, oh, fuck.
Oh,
Did we miss our opportunity?
He's already here. What do you mean he's here?
It's like, goddamn, he showed up fast.
And then Koichi flies by, and they're like, no, we got a chance. We're going to take it.
That plane was fucking awesome,
That plane was so cool.
That was goddamn
That
cool.
was just an incredibly cool plane to look at. I love planes. It must be something in my blood, because my grandfather loved planes, my brothers love planes, I love planes. And that is just a fucking cool ass plane with the propeller on the back. There was a moment where I was like, but how does it turn without a tail? And then I saw that it has the rudders on the wings, and I was just like, God, this is a cool plane.
Cool. And that whole sequence was fucking awesome.
Oh, it's so good.
It was so good.
And we were talking about there's a lot of CGI in this movie. I say that I could see that it was CGI in this sequence, not in a bad way.
Yes, exactly.
The CGI looks really good.
It's like, I think people who aren't as in depth with movies as you and I are, as far as the experience we've had with them, wouldn't notice it.
Yeah, exactly. You'd think, wow, they really flew a plane. Yes. And you're like, no, they couldn't have. But man, that's some really good CGI.
Yeah, it's fucking great.
And just like such good filmmaking, top to bottom. This makes me want to see Marvel actually commit to having an artist make a movie, because it takes me back to Edgar Wright's Ant-Man.
Yeah,
there was a very specific vision. Edgar Wright is meticulous when he's directing a movie. He knows exactly how he wants everything to look and feel and sound and move. So he was going to have a ton of input on how everything was going to go, to the point where Marvel was like, nah, I can't deal with this anymore. And he was like, well, then fuck you guys. I can't deal with you guys anymore. I'm gone. This is that same situation, but you just keep going. You don't question the artist. You say, no, the artist has a vision. We're here to support the artist's vision. You go out and you do it.
Yeah.
The fact that the guy who directed the movie also did the VFX for the movie, that's enormous. Yeah. I've never heard of that before, and I really want to see it done more often, because I'm so tired of situations like The Flash, where the movie is rushed, the VFX guys are not given enough time to complete their job, and then the director comes out with some half-baked bullshit reason why the CGI looks the way it does. And you're just like, or you could just have the director be in charge of the CGI, so it's just as much a part of the baby as everything else.
And that's the thing I'm nervous about, because this has become such a worldwide phenomenon that I don't want this guy to say to the first person that says, we're going to give you $200 million to make this movie, for him to jump on it. It's like, I think part of why this movie worked is it was restricted with the budget.
Yeah.
And they had to use actual filmmaking techniques instead of saying, we're going to take care of it in post.
Yeah.
With CGI.
That's always the case. Is I've heard this from so many people in the industry. Having a smaller budget is good in a lot of ways, because it makes it so that you have to come up with creative solutions to problems, which often involves filmmaking decisions, such as not having the shark in the first 2/3 of the movie.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Jaws now? You don't have to, because it's any of the later stage Jaws movies where it's just shark all the time. Shark, 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 shark.
Well, let's two best examples, Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings, $100 million budget per movie. They had to use all these techniques to make it work. Hobbit, they had double the budget per movie, if not more.
And they made Ian McKellen
over
cry.
CGI'd them.
Yeah.
They over CGI'd the shit out of them. And it's like, that's your example. It's like, if you have the less budget, you have to use a fucking gymnasium in a local rec center to build the wall that Frodo and Sam crawl up with Gollum.
Yeah.
It's like, you have to do shit like that, and it works.
You have to figure out the lighting. You have to figure out the camera movements. You have to figure out the best way to do this so that it doesn't look bad.
Exactly.
And it just...
The forced perspective with Gandalf and Frodo in the beginning in the kitchen, and when he's pouring his tea, it's like, they're in the same room and there's no CGI. It's just fucking camera tricks.
Yeah. So many filmmakers these days, and well, not even filmmakers, studios, so many studios need to learn from the bad CGI of the 90s.
Yes.
I'm looking at you, Blade. The fastest way to make a movie terrible is to have a big CGI thing that has to work and not have it work.
Yeah.
So find a way to not have the big CGI thing unless you have to. As somebody whose scripts, you know this, are way too ambitious for my ability to actually make.
Hey, 5-hour movies happen.
I'm just saying.
They just happen.
I will never get over the idea where I came to you after class and I was like, so I had an idea for a movie, but we would have to flood a room. And you were like, how would we do that? And I was like, I don't know.
Well, and I still to this day wish I would have won that argument on 2 Feet Closer when we filmed it, where I'm like, we cannot show the gore because we cannot do it properly. Halloween, the first Halloween movie, they didn't show any gore because they had no budget to do it.
Yeah.
And goddamn, the gore sucked when we had it smelled so bad with the goddamn ground beef and fake blood. Oh, it was terrible. God. Terrible.
I still feel terrible that your basement got just ground beef.
Oh, it wasn't my basement. I didn't give a fuck.
Well, you were renting it.
That was right, yeah.
Yeah.
But and that's my concern with movies like this going forward. I hope this becomes, especially now seeing, I watched on Watch Mojo, they had a top 10 of movies that lost money this year. And it's movies that you thought made money, but no, because their budgets
budget
were
was
so
huge.
fucking big.
Yeah.
And it's like, I really want Hollywood to look at that, and like even the Marvel movies, and go, look at Captain America and the Winter Soldier. I mean, it had some CGI, but a lot of practical effects were used in that movie.
Yeah.
And it's like, that movie was great, and it was mostly practical effects.
Yeah. Disney, the reason Disney is in such a hole is because everything they make is such big budget and then never makes its budget back. And so even if you have a movie that does moderately well because the budget was so high to begin with, it's not going to make that budget back. And then you have situations like Ant-Man Quantumania where you have this enormous budget, bad CGI, doesn't work, bad story, bad plot, bad acting, bad directing. Yeah. And it's just, you're just left being like, what the hell is this? Yeah. Or I'm still angry about Fire and Ice, or what? Not Fire and Ice. Elemental. I still find that to be such a swing and a miss, because there were so many moments in that movie that I really liked conceptually. Yeah. And then the writing and the acting and the directing was bad. Yeah. And just frustrating. Why is there a giant tower of water that comes gushing through Firetown when that could kill anybody in Firetown? Like, I get it. You want it to be about it being a slum. I get it. But, like, this is insane. I feel like you guys needed to reel it in. Or why did Wade's father have this big family if Wade is like his mom and he and Wade did not get along to the point where Wade's dad leaves? Yeah. I was just like...
it's weird. Like, the whole... Yeah, and like you're saying, it's this trend that not only Disney, but look at... all the Sony ones we were talking about. They had huge budgets. Madam Web was on that list I was talking about. Because it has a crazy huge budget. You look at Venom 3, that fucker's got to be a $250. Easy.
Look at all the CGI they have.
Exactly.
You have multiple full CGI characters fighting full CGI characters.
I'm hoping the only reason Tom Hardy is doing a third one of these, because he's lost some of my respect over these 3 movies, is because they just threw so much fucking money at him to do it.
I'm telling you, this is Spider-Man 3 all over again. Yeah. This is a bunch of people who are in too deep. You couldn't even bring back Michelle Williams. That's how bad it was.
She wised up finally for the fucking third one.
Yeah.
But no, I love this movie. I'm so happy it's on Netflix so everyone can see it.
Godzilla Minus One, not Venom.
Yeah, Godzilla Minus One. No, Venom sucks. Not Venom. Venom sucks. Everything else we talked about sucked as far as Disney movies. Yeah. Godzilla Minus One.
Yes.
Fantastic movie.
I love this movie.
I cannot recommend it more.
I really want to watch it. They have a Godzilla Minus One minus color. So it's just in black and white. I want to watch that. That's on Vudu right now. It's $15. I haven't invested in it, but I'm thinking about it.
I'm assuming they're going to put out like a 4K Blu-ray of this. I'm hoping.
You'd think so.
And it would have both versions, because that was kind of the shitty thing with, I think when the Logan Blu-ray... No, the Logan Blu-ray didn't. They released the Logan Blu-ray, and then they released the black and white one of Logan. And I'm like, dude, you couldn't...
They did that for Mad Max. They did Mad Max Fury Road, and then they had the black and chrome edition of Mad Max Fury Road. Which I've invested in both because I love Mad Max. I'm very sad that Furiosa is dropping even further. Steve, we got through the entire show, but we have to at least mention...
Okay, before we do that, Godzilla Minus One, thumbs up.
Thumbs up, A+. Definitely check out Godzilla Minus One. If you don't, you're doing yourself an incredible disservice.
Okay, what's our epilogue for this episode?
Garfield beat Furiosa. The new Garfield movie.
Yeah. But the thing was, it beat it, but that's not a good thing for either movie, because it did not make a lot of money.
No.
It's going to be Garfield's going to be a gigantic animated bomb.
Yeah.
By what it did its opening weekend. Because now, of course, the opening first 2 weeks literally makes or break a movie now.
Yeah. Furiosa lost to it.
Because the problem with the Mad Max Fury Road, if you remember, it was a critical darling, but it wasn't a massive box office success at first. It was one of those ones that kind of...
It was like built, 2 or 3 weeks later.
Yeah, it built... Like, it had a slow opening, and then it kind of exploded.
Yeah.
Where this one went in with the highest of expectations, because you put in Chris Hemsworth and Anna Taylor-Joy, where even though Charlize Theron and Tom Hardy were in the first one, Chris Hemsworth is kind of like the flavor of the moment now, as far as like the big actor.
He's getting so close to that precipice of just being like, God, I don't want you to hang out with me anymore, man. I need a little break.
He kind of is, except for I still really like him, like in everything I see him in personally. Like as
that's true. I don't have an issue with him.
Yeah, he doesn't
as
drive
a person.
Me nuts.
Yeah,
and he's not doing these god awful direct to Amazon video movies that I watch and I regret.
He did
ever
just
having
do
eyeballs.
This big campaign for Clash of Clans. Or whatever their new non-Clash of Clans.
The first one, I was like, oh, why are you doing that? But then the second commercial was him fighting the old Clash of Clans. Did you see that one?
That's with Dolph Lundgren.
With Dolph Lundgren. I was like, okay, that's fucking awesome. You have Thor and Ivan Drago fighting with swords. This is the greatest commercial
Dressed
ever
as He-Man.
Dressed as He-Man. So I give him that. Like, that's funny. But, like... Yeah, Chris Pratt is... I can see what you're saying, though.
Yeah.
He is getting into that rock Chris Pratt category.
He's around all the time. He's becoming ubiquitous. And they're just... sometimes you just need a little air to breathe.
Yes.
But, I'm sad that Furiosa is not doing as well as it should. I can't wait to see it. I just don't know when I'm going to see it. Because now we're getting into that... The internet hasn't caught on to it and been like, I was hoping that after the first week, it was going to be one of those like, no, everybody go out and see it, kind of like Mad Max. That has not been a thing.
Well, and the good thing, there's two things. The good thing about it, tanking, is it'll probably be on streaming sooner than later.
Yes.
Which that's good.
I'm surprised that Fall Guy is already on streaming.
Because that was on that list too. It was number 2 on the list of bombs because it lost so much fucking money. That and Argyle.
Even though it looked so good.
Right to streaming.
I still think Fall Guy looks really good. I can't wait to see it. I think it does too,
but it's a cliche. It's a niche property built on a show from the 80s that most people they're trying to get out to watch it.
Is it based on a show?
Oh yeah, there was Lee Majors made a show called The Fall Guy. Him and Heather Thomas.
No, don't know.
He was a stuntman that like solved crimes.
Huh?
It was like the A-Team but with a stuntman.
Literally never heard of it.
That's why at the premiere, Lee Majors was there, like fucking a million years old.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's based on an old property. Yeah. And it's like I'll be honest, I like the A-Team movie. It bombed mainly because no one fucking knew about the A-Team.
Yeah.
It was fucking 30-year-old property at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is it's even older. It's a 40-year-old property that they're basing a movie on. It's like, yeah, you got Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt. It is probably great, but it's like people don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Man from U.N.C.L.E. You had Armie Hammer. You had
Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
Directed by Guy Ritchie.
Yep.
Nobody cared.
Yep.
Nobody cared.
Even the Equalizer movies, they only kept making sequels because they had very low budgets, and so they made money, kind of like horror movies do, where it's like they didn't have these inflated budgets. There was like $20 million, and they made 50 at the box office, so it's enough of a success to make another one. But that's a one based on a property from the fucking 80s, The Equalizer. And it's like, what's that show with Queen Latifah that is doing
also
terrible?
The Equalizer.
Oh yeah, the Equalizer, but with her, and it's like that's doing terrible on TV. I don't know if that's just because it's on TV and no one watches fucking network TV anymore.
It's on CBS too. That's on your grandma's TV.
Yeah,
that's not on TV. That's on grandma's TV.
It's on grandma's TV. But the second part of I've been reading is every now and then we'll have these big hit movies at the theater, but theater going is still down so much that no movie is making money. Like once again, 1 out of every say 5 movies that gets released actually turns a profit.
Yeah. No, I've seen so many YouTube videos in the last 2 weeks being like, what is wrong with the theater system in America? Because I think we're finally hitting it. COVID started something, and now we're really hitting the point where people are like, no, I'm not going to go out and see that movie because I don't want to spend an arm and a leg to see it in a theater that I don't find comfortable with people that I find annoying when I can't pause it or have subtitles on. I would rather just wait an extra 3 weeks for it to come out on streaming, and then I can pause it to go to the bathroom and get a snack and do all the things I want to do.
And I'm going to compare it to bowling. Speaking as a family man, bowling has gotten to the point, unless you have a Groupon, you cannot take your family bowling.
Kelly's work wanted to do a work function bowling at an alley, and they found that budgetarily it was too high. It was too expensive for all of them to go.
Well, here's a good example. The Groupon we usually get, it's 4 people bowling for 2 hours, shoes included, for $36. Typically, It's $140.
That's insane.
For that exact same situation.
That's insane.
$140.
Back in my day, bowling was like a cheap, easy thing you could do with a date.
During the summers when I was in high school, for the summer, they would do $1 a game.
Yeah.
I would go there with $10 and spend the entire afternoon bowling with my friends.
Yeah.
And it's like now, not only that, the drinks, the food are astronomical. And it's same with the movies. The drinks, the food is insane.
Yeah.
How much, and that's the big problem. And like for me, even people like me who I used to, when I was single, I would go to 3 movies a week in the theater. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily love the theater going experience anymore because of the fact that I do like the comfort of being in my house, putting my headphones on, having whatever food, getting herbally enhanced, if you want to call it.
Or having a few drinks.
Exactly. Wait, like I can fucking Fall Guy, what was it? It was $24.99 to buy it. I could buy that movie cheaper than a ticket and a popcorn and drink.
Yeah. No, and not by a small amount.
Yeah.
You could buy it for cheaper, I think by like $20.
Yeah.
It's almost twice as much to go out and see it.
And that's for one person. I'm not
Yeah.
saying 2 people going and getting popcorn and drink.
Yeah.
That's one person going, getting a large popcorn and a drink, no candy.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck.
Yeah, no.
So it's, I truly think, once again, everyone blames COVID for ruining. I don't think it was. It's kind of, I think the film industry was kind of like the housing bubble. Mm. It had inflated into this thing that is just impossible to keep. And then COVID burst the bubble, and now they just cannot get it back because people, it's like the restaurant industry, how they're having such a hard time getting people to do dishwashing and cooking jobs because they're like, it actually sucks for the amount of money you're fucking paying me. And so I'm not going to wash dishes for minimum wage 40 hours a week, getting sweaty and wet and working until 2 in the morning. It's like, no, I'm not going to do that. So they can't find people. Mm-hmm. And then, they're deporting people that would do the fucking jobs. And it's like, now theaters, people are like, well, why the fuck would I do that?
Yeah.
I have all these streaming. Like, you can go on Netflix right now, even without like Godzilla. There's a million movies.
Yeah. My Vudu is a much better option. Like, if we're talking about personal
between your Vudu and my Vudu combined, fuck, that's 1,000 movies.
Easily.
And that's not counting the over 1,000 I have on VHS, or not VHS, Blu-ray and DVD in my house.
Exactly. There are just better options now. And also, I think that there's something to be said about the fact that so many studios are collapsing into one. Yeah. I think that people point to like an A24 or a Blumhouse movie and they say, hey, this is great because it's artistic and it does this and this and this. And then you have the big tentpole Disney/Fox movie that's coming out and nobody cares.
Yeah.
Because it's soulless. It's just more money being pushed into a thing. It's Carol's dress transforming on this singing, dancing planet for no reason.
Yeah.
And you're dumb shit. What the fuck is this? What do you want me to do with it?
I'll be honest, when I went to see Star Wars with my son last month, there was a douchebag in a Stormtrooper helmet that sat in front of my son, and for the first, 20 minutes of the movie, he had it on. My son couldn't see shit. And I was about to tell him to take it off, but he took it off. And it was like, I don't have to worry about that at home.
No. You don't have to worry about somebody getting rowdy.
Yeah.
Or being on their phone. So many theaters I've had people just on their phones.
So bad.
And they don't care.
They don't listen to Nicole Kidman.
No. Well, my thing is you have to do what the Alamo does. Put your money where your mouth is. You get one warning. If you get more than that, you're gone, no refund. Get out of here. We don't need you.
With the Nicole Kidman thing, you go to a movie that starts at 4. The movie itself doesn't start until 4:30.
Yeah.
And you're like, I just wasted 40 minutes because I had to get there early to get the popcorn and everything and make sure I got my seats. Mm-hmm. And then another half hour, and then I'm watching a 2.5-hour movie.
Yeah.
It's just become
too much.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
So.
And then she takes up 5 minutes of my fucking time. Yeah. In that big book that St. Peter supposedly has that tells you the amount of everything that you've ever done ever, I want to know the amount of time I've lost to Nicole Kidman.
You're going to look up what are Al's arch nemesis. There are 3 of them. Spider-Man Homecoming, Marita Menounos, and Nicole Kidman because they all wasted too much of his time.
Just all of my time. Oh, you're a fucking time vampire. Yeah. God damn it.
And it's funny because every time we go to a movie and that before thing with Maria Menounos, that's always shitty. It's just commercials. I miss the old school Lowe's Theater when you went in and they had like
give me fucking the trivia
and Rick Astley playing on the music. You know what I mean?
Give me trivia and local brands that are just on screen. It's not a commercial.
Not a commercial.
It's just a brand on screen.
Yes.
And then there's a trivia. Give me that.
That was the best.
100% take that over what we have currently.
And then when the lights go down, trailers start.
Yeah.
There's no commercials.
There's 3 trailers. We get to the fucking movie.
Yes.
Please.
And the trailers actually have something to do with the movie you're watching.
Yes.
You're not going to watch a movie that's technically a kid's movie and they show that goddamn Zendaya trailer.
Although, I will say, and we'll close out the show on this, because now we've been tangenting on this for about 15 minutes. We do get to have that experience at home still. Because if you go on Disney Plus now, you will start watching something. I can't remember what we were watching, so we'll just say that we were watching The Marvels. All right, so you're watching The Marvels. And you get through the movie, and what pops up as something you'd like to watch next on Disney? Could it be Bluey? Or maybe Mickey Mouse? How about American Horror Story?
Really?
Oh, 100%, dude. I get so many ads for Shogun and American Horror Story and The Bear on Disney. It's always in that top.
Hulu.
Exactly. And so it's just
it's different for us because we're watching it under the kids filter. So we get Mickey's Clubhouse because that's what my kids used to watch. And even now my son's like, why the hell has Mickey's Clubhouse come up? We haven't watched that in years. And it comes up every time.
Oh, yeah.
So, folks, that was a great tangent. Thank you, Al, for getting that tangent off the rails. I appreciate that.
We would be doing a disservice to all of our fans if we didn't bring up a Chris Pratt property that was doing something.
But it's great that I think this is the first time that our longest tangent was the epilogue of the show.
Yeah,
it's the beginning.
It's usually the beginning of the show.
This was a first for us, folks. 141, and we got a first.
This was literally, we got to an hour and 20 minutes, and I was like, oh, it's gonna be a short one. All right, okay. No. I got a 15-minute tangent for you.
Well, folks, episode 141. Once again, if you want to know more about us, go to NerdPodGen. There's links to all of our separate sites. Al, tell us about our artwork and our music.
Our art was made by Kortney Howell. Awesome. Our theme song was made by Brendan Williams and James Connally.
So awesome.
I am Alfred Judson.
And I'm Steve Taylor.
And until next week, friends and enemies, maybe it'll be Trash Week. We've been hinting at Trash Week for a while.
Star Wars Acolyte.
Well, that could still go into Trash Week.
That still could be Trash Week. That could be Obi-Wan number 3.
Just saying.
All right, folks.
Have a great week, friends and enemies.